My name is Jessica and I have no idea what I'm doing. Today is another makeup of interest video. I know it's very soon after the last one, but I was kind of slacking on getting these together. So a bunch of things have come out, but I definitely was not putting them all in one video. So I just made two videos, one right after the other. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Colourpop End of the Rainbow collection. There are a bunch of things in this collection. It looks like there's some skincare, some brushes, you know, things that don't interest me. The eyeliners look interesting. I like some of the colors, but I don't really use eyeliner. The mascaras just look too pastel. I've had a few pastel mascaras before and they just don't seem to look good on me. Of course, I'm most attracted by the palette, but it looks like these eyeshadows are not new. It looks like they're a bunch of eyeshadows from their collection that they just curated together in a palette. And I don't know, I just don't care for when brands do that. I would rather just see a new palette. But I guess if they feel they have all the colors already, they just want to sell it together as a palette. I don't know. Really, I'm just interested in that shimmery blue. Big surprise, right? But I think that color is available either as a single or definitely in the Blue Moon palette, which I still kind of intend to get. So there's really no need for me to buy a palette like this. And I do have these kinds of colors. So is it for me? Somewhat, because it is very colorful. It has a good amount of blues, greens, and purples. Even a couple pinks and peaches in there that I would like, and a gold. Well, now that I said all that, it sounds like I want it. But I really don't need it because I do have colors like this. The next thing I want to talk about is the Essence X Ulta Beauty Girls United collection, and what caught my eyes, of course, the eyeshadow palette. I have not heard of Girls United before, and I think the essence I'm thinking of is not the same essence that's in this collaboration. But anyway, I think this palette actually has a pretty good color scheme, or rather, it has a good variety of colors. I appreciate that the two blues and the purple are actually shimmers instead of mattes like most brands do when they include blues and purples. I think it has a good mix of colors and neutrals, but I don't need this and it's not for me. I would still want a matte blue, a matte purple, a green shimmer to go with the matte green, but I think this looks like a good palette for most people. If you like colors and you like neutrals, this looks like it could be for you. If you're someone who's into colors, maybe trying to get into neutrals as well, then also for you, and vice versa. So I think it looks pretty good, it's just not for me and I don't need it. Next is the Fresh Sugar in the City Tinted Lip Treatment in Blackberry Tint. I don't know who this person is that they're collabing with, but I love the Fresh Sugar Tinted Lip Treatments. I have a bunch of them that you guys have seen, and my stomach is okay with them too, because as I've mentioned, certain lip products and even certain skin products don't get along with my stomach condition. So this is something that I would actually consider getting. Maybe if I swatched it in the store and it looked like a lip color that I would want to add to my collection, I would generally trust this formula. I would generally trust the ingredients, and I would be willing to give this a shot. Next on my list is the Milani The Violet One Lash Primer. This attracted me because it's violet. I don't really need a lash primer right now. I'm pretty happy with the one I have in my L'Oreal Double Extend Beauty Tubes that I use pretty often. I don't know if it being violet does anything special. It just literally caught my eye because it was purple. Next up is the Morphe x Jeffree Star, the Jeffree Star Artistry palette. This one caught my eye because of a few purples, greens, and the more silvery, cool-toned, really metallic colors. And that's about it. It's just not for me. Too much pink red, too much neutral, and I just don't need it. There's nothing in here that I don't have in other palettes or eyeshadows. Next is the Persona Identity 2 eyeshadow palette. Again, I think this is a palette that has a nice range of colors, and I appreciate that the blue, the purple, and the green are shimmers and not just mattes. This palette looks like you would mostly be using neutral creases and then kind of changing up the shimmers depending on the look you're after. I also like that it seems to have a setting shade and a brow bone highlight shade, despite it being just a 12-pan palette. It also has your basic black, which I don't use really, but I know a lot of people do. To me, this looks like a good palette for anyone just starting to get into makeup, because you have a little bit of everything, but it's also not too wild. There aren't any colorful crease options, which of course I don't like, but I could see why someone starting out would want to do it that way. However, it's definitely not a just starting out price, and obviously I don't need this. Like I said, I appreciate that the colorful shadows are actually shimmers and not mattes for once, but I would still want more color in here, and I have colors like this already. Next up are the Smashbox Cover Shot palettes. There are two new ones in Desert and Denim. The Desert one is not for me. I don't need it, but I do think it's a nice palette. You have your basic neutrals and warm tones, but then you kind of have a few greens in there, both matte and shimmer, so I think that could be a nice touch, and I think everything's really cohesive. Of course, the Denim one is more attractive to me because of all the blues, but it is still half neutral, actually a little bit more than half neutral. It does give you a basic navy blue matte, and then a few blue teal shimmers to play with, as well as some light neutrals and a more silvery taupe color, which is nice, but I would want more blue and different kinds of blues. So not for me, don't need it. I have colors like this. And I have to say, I haven't really heard anyone be really happy about the Smashbox Cover Shot palettes. And the few that I've touched in store didn't really impress me. Next, I have a few items from Tarte that I want to talk about. The first one is the Sugar Rush Goals 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 eyeshadow palette. I think we all know what I'm going to say here. I wish I could get rid of the left half of that palette. Warm tone neutrals are just not my thing. I like the other half much better, even though they snuck a few cool tone neutrals in there. Of course, I like the greens, the blues, the purples. Oh wow, what a difference in price. I just realized that. Well, Tarte had said that they were going to keep Sugar Rush more affordable, so yeah, I would definitely want to see it in store just to see what the colors actually look like and touch them, swatch them. It's tempting because of the right half of that palette, but I really don't need it. I have colors like this already, from both sides. The other thing from Tarte that I wanted to talk about are the Sugar Rush Sparkler Shadow Sticks. I like the gold, I like the silver. I have not had any good luck with eyeshadow sticks before though. I think one time I had some from Avon, and I think I had some from other places as well. And just for the most part, I don't know, I feel like they always drag and they're not pigmented enough. So again, this is something that I would want to see in store just to like check it out, and then maybe I would end up with the gold or the silver. I would definitely prefer like a purple, a blue, a green, pink or peach even. Next, I have a few different things from Too Faced that I want to talk about, starting with the Gingerbread Extra Spicy palette. You guys know I love Too Faced. I was just confused when they put up this picture of the new palette. I was able to tell right away that something was different, mainly because I'm attracted to blue eyeshadow, and it looks like the eyeshadow in the bottom right is a nice metallic blue. And I know that the original Gingerbread palette does not have a blue in it. So it made me wonder if they were releasing a palette where they put a pop of blue in it, like almost like revamping the old palette. I don't see anything extra spicy about this. I would expect more intense shades, and it looks like they watered it down a little bit. Like the top row is very soft, and then some of the other shades, like the more orange and hot pink, are kind of the same, I feel, from the other palette. I feel like this is more neutral, lighter, and softer, and then has a very nice pop of blue in it, and they're calling it a new palette, and they're calling it extra spicy. I don't want to be salty. It's just, I'm not seeing it. Again, this is something that I would want to see in store. If I take away that blue though, like if I put my finger over it, I'm no longer attracted to this palette. And even with the blue in it, I'm not that attracted to it. But like I said, because I love Too Faced, I would want to see it in store and swatch it and see what I really think about it. But looking at it right now, it is not for me, and I do not need it. I definitely have colors like this, both from the original Gingerbread palette and just other palettes from all different brands. Too Faced is also coming out with some Tutti Frutti watermelon products, such as the Watermelon Slice Face and Eye palette. And the Hangover Primer Spray. Let's talk about the palette first. It's super cute. It's shaped like a watermelon. The things inside of it are shaped like seeds. Very, very cute. But it's a watermelon palette. So there's like one pink, one green, and then the rest is all cool tone neutrals. I feel like the Jeffree Star palette that I talked about earlier would better fit a watermelon theme than this, with the pinks and the greens in it. Also, I'm calling that color in here a green, but I honestly don't know for sure because different pictures I see of this palette, sometimes it looks like a blue, sometimes it looks like a green, other times it looks like maybe a neutral duochrome. I don't really know what it is. I do like that you can separate it into two palettes if you want to. That way, for storage purposes, or if for some reason you wanted to take only eyeshadow products or only face products with you somewhere, you could do that. But it looks like it's not for me. It looks like I don't need it. But again, because it's Too Faced, and Too Faced is my favorite high-end brand, I definitely want to see it and swatch it in store. But that's my prediction right now. As for the Watermelon Primer Spray, I'm kind of still on the hunt for a setting spray. The one that I have from Wet n Wild I feel doesn't really do anything, but as you know, I think I had a problem with one of the other setting sprays that I tried, with it making me sick. That's basically the only reason why I have not purchased any more setting sprays. I'm really just afraid of getting sick again. But otherwise, I love the scent of watermelon. I love Too Faced. Yes, it's a little more money, but I would probably give it a try, especially in a smaller size. Next is the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. Is honey a theme lately? There was the Colourpop honey palette with all the yellows. Now there's this one. I feel like there was something else out there that was, again, the honey bee yellow kind of theme. Though I have to say, I don't think of honey when I see this palette. I feel like the yellows are very muted, and the one shade in here that I'm attracted to, I would say is more of a green than a gold or a yellow. Again, it's something I would have to see in store, but I'm not really into the Urban Decay eyeshadow formula, so I can see this definitely isn't going to be something that I'm going to get. Probably not going to care for the formula, don't care for the color scheme. It's not for me, I definitely don't need it. Lastly, I have a few things from Violet Voss that I want to talk about. First is the Bright Vibes palette. This is basically an all matte rainbow palette, which is typically not for me, but let me tell you what I appreciate. I appreciate that there are 2 different blues and 2 different purples. I feel like a lot of the time blues and purples get neglected. I've said this before, and of course those are my favorite colors to wear. And more often you see variations in the warmer tones. So the red, the orange, the yellow. I feel like there could have been another green in there, but then what would you be giving up? Yeah, I feel like you can't really give anything else up to add another green in there. But anyway, my point is that this is not for me. I do not need it. I have colors like this, but I appreciate the 2 different blues and the 2 different purples being included. The other Violet Voss item I want to talk about is the Coral Crush palette. This palette, I feel like, should have been something that I would have liked, but there's just something I don't like about it, and I don't know what it is. I like wearing peach eyeshadow, but I feel like the colors in here are too deep or too muted. I feel like some of them don't belong. But I guess I get it because it's coral. I mean, it's a coral palette, not a peach palette. So it looks like she went with some peaches, maybe like 1 or 2 true corals, and then she branched off and went with oranges, reds, and yellows. Colors that help make coral, and that look good together with coral. Some colors though, whether they're the lighter shimmers or the deeper mattes, I feel like there's not enough variation between them. I think basically what I'm trying to say is that this palette is not for me, even though I like a few of the colors. And I definitely don't need it. I have peaches, I have oranges, I have yellows, and I have neutrals. So, tell me your thoughts, what's on your makeup of interest list, and that's it for today. I hope you have a good day no matter what it is you're doing. Bye. See you next time.